Good morning, everybody. I've just finished dropping off Bub at daycare, so I'm just shooting this video. Just feel led to do it. Just to let you know off the cuff, I am not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm the type of guy that just likes to be in the back in the woodworks, to just do my own thing on the quiet. I hate being in the limelight. Even being in front of this camera just rattles me. This is already my umpteenth take. But yeah, I just want to share something with you regarding all this that's happening in the world. And I know everybody hears enough of it: the coronavirus, the floods, the pandemic, the locusts that are moving around. It's all over the world. But I would like to encourage you, like what Paul said in Corinthians, that we are to encourage the church. So I'll give you a practical example of what actually happened to me, a little bit of a testimony, and I'll back it with a scripture. What had happened in South Africa, my father had bought over a business, and unfortunately the business deal was a bit rotten, and they didn't disclose certain information, and my father ended up losing the business, and was sequestrated. He then ended up finding work in another town, which was about 3.5 hours from us. So my mum, my brother, and myself were at home, just doing the daily things. But it got pretty bad at one stage. The money was running dry, and I'll never forget it. My mum came outside and she spoke to me and she said, "Don, can you please just scratch around in between the car seats, see if there's coins, so we can buy a bread?" And so I said sure, and I managed to scrounge like the final coins we've had, got it all together. It was enough to buy bread because we had a little bit of butter in the fridge, so yay. Shot off to the shop and got the bread, and we sat down at the table and we were eating our bread and butter when out of nowhere it was just this knock on the door. Now, nobody in Palabor really knew what was going on with us. We kept it quiet. But we went to answer the door, and it was a lady from church. Now, it was the church we were going or attending, and this lady was so excited. And she said, come help. And we're wondering what's going on. So we go with her, and she opens up the boot of her car, and only to find out that the whole car is covered with groceries, front to back. So we start hauling out these bags, and we're just carrying it in, and you know what, our cupboards were stocked. We had biscuits, we had anything that you could think of, bread. We we had a feast that night, so it was real good. But it showed us that God was undertaking, even in the darkest situations, in the darkest moments. But one thing we did hold on to was our hope, knowing that Jesus was in control. There was another case. It's funny how God keeps reminding you, and this is where you have your trials, this is where you have your tribulations, this is where you have your hard times. I ended up in London for about a year. My first 6 months in, my brother ended up joining me, and he didn't really know the workforce that side, so I managed to get him in at the same firm that I was working for, and so we went on a two-man crew system. So we're two guys in a van, and he was just assisting me doing these installs for telecommunication and broadband. And unfortunately, I was backslidden, and I'd stopped drinking. I started changing my ways, started going to church, and then of course the tests come. It starts getting pretty tight. The guy who we were working for was also my buddy, ex-drinking buddy, if I can put it that way. Now I'm not partying with him anymore, not drinking with him anymore. So of course he doesn't like it, and he ended up taking it out on us. So the jobs got super tight. We got the most difficult jobs. We got the jobs that were the furthest away from each other, and we were paid per job. So at the end of the day, we were just making enough money between my brother and I to pay for the rent for a room and 2 beds and a pack of buns with a little bit of cheese and then I think it was like 90 pence little Kit Kats, like 52 of them. Always need something sweet. Weird. But yeah, we were eating these buns, like rationing them, so we just know we got a bun a day with a piece of cheese and a couple of Kit Kats, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And that would sort of see us through our week. Lost a lot of weight, but one day in particular, we had gotten to our last bun, which we had eaten for breakfast because we were just starving. We had no more Kit Kats left because, yeah, they Kit Kats. And we were driving on the way to the job, and my brother was complaining that he's got this massive headache and he wasn't feeling well. Now, I know we don't have any money. We're hungry. Our jobs are half an hour to 40 minutes apart. And I told him, I said, look, don't worry. You just sit in the van. I'll plow through the jobs. I was doing the installs. I was digging trenches. I was laying cables. I was doing all of that. But in the back of my mind, I'm fighting. And I'm just saying, Lord, this sucks. This is really not comfortable. And between the jobs, we were still driving. My brother fell asleep, and I started praying, and I just said, Lord, I'm trying to do everything that's right. It's really, really, really hard. And here I am. I don't even have money to be able to buy my brother a stupid little headache tablet to even take his headache away. I need your help. I can't do this on my own. I need your help. And we got to the next job. My brother then woke up. He says, "Oh, you'll help. You'll push through." So I said, "Okay, you deal with the inside. Just install the broadband box and all that. I'll do all the cable work and the trenching, everything outside." So I said, "Yep." So I'm on the ground. I'm laying in the cable, and I'm on the roof, and I'm hammering all the cable work in. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, Lord, just frustrated, but knowing that the Lord's in control. Then I hear my brother shout up, and he said, "Don, come here." I'm like, "What?" So I go over to the roof, and I lean over, and he looks at me and says, "Come down." I say, "Why? I've got this job to do. We've got to hurry up." He says, No, come down." I said, "Why?" He says, "The lady said you've got to come inside." It's okay. So the homeowner invited us in. And as soon as we walked through her lounge, we walked straight into her kitchen, and she immediately pulled the chairs out from a dining room table and said, "Take a seat. Come, sit down. And we're just wondering what's going on. And the lady says, "Look, what do you just want to eat? I'm making sandwiches. I've got turkey, I've got beef, I've got ham, I've got cheese." And my brother and I are just looking at each other. Now, my brother doesn't know what I've been praying. But in my mind, I was just like, holy moly, the Lord is so good. So this lady was dishing us up sandwiches, and she was making us coffee and tea and giving us cool drinks, and we were so stuffed from the sandwiches. We had the drinks, everything else, and finished the job. And as we finished, we thanked the lady for everything. But she gave us a big bag full of more sandwiches and drinks and everything else. And she put £10 in my brother's hand and £10 in my hand. And I was just blown away. And every job that we had from for the rest of the afternoon, Sorry, the camera's shaking a little. I got it on some stupid little eBay wobbly camera holder. Every job that we had on that afternoon, every homeowner gave us £10 in each of our hands. £10. I was blown away. When we were finishing up our last job, I actually spoke to my brother and I said, you know what? This is what I prayed. Isn't it amazing how God has come through? And my brother, always been the solid Christian he has, and he looked at me and he says, it's good, eh? It's like, dude, this is a moment to be really excited and be happy about. And he's like, yeah, it's good, eh? But God just reminded us that He's got everything in control. And I know for a fact that God is always looking out for me. And I know that God is always looking out for you too. In John 16 verse 33, it says that Jesus says that in this world we will have tribulation. He didn't say be born again, be saved, and you'll be okay, and it will be perfect. The grass will always be green, and the flowers will always be out, and you won't have any trouble at all. No. He said, in this world you will, emphasis on will or shall, have tribulation. So it will go bad sometimes. Thankfully, the Lord said this straight after. But be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. Praise Jesus. God is good. And I just thought I'd send you this as a bit of an encouragement, a bit of a personal testimony. I've got a lot more stories that Jesus has personally done things in my life. I'll be sharing them in a few more videos from here. But I just want you to be encouraged. This is a tough time, yes, but it's nothing for Jesus. You just got to change your mindset, like what Paul says, you know. It's a renewing of the mind. You got to. Sorry, it's one of my kitties' nerve darts. It's a renewing of the mind. You need to put on a new mind. Take those thoughts captive. If they're negative, if they're bringing you down, that's why Paul says to take those thoughts captive. And what is it to take something captive? They don't just take a terrorist captive and feed him and not do anything with him. No, they catch him and they interrogate him. And the same thing you've got to apply to your thinking is if you get a negative thought in, you've got to take that thought captive and think, hang on, what are you doing here? What is this thought's intention? Why is it coming to me? What is the outcome from these thoughts? And you've got to be able to discern and divide them. So put on a positive thinking. Keep your mind focused on Jesus because He is our blessed hope and our blessed Redeemer. So be blessed. Love you guys. Hope this encourages somebody out there. So thinking of yous. Okay. See yous up there. Bye.